Okay, so I'm checking out a band called Maelstrom Vale out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I only had one Saskatchewan band on my list, Shooting Guns, and I think the album of theirs that I listened to is all instrumental. So I just thought I'd check out what else is out there, and I found there are quite a number of bands in Saskatoon. One of them, Wasted Heretics, a really good death metal band. In Ruin was one, and then this one here, Maelstrom Vale, really unique band. They're heavy, but they have this little bit of a quirky bit of sense of humor that shows up in their music sometimes. So it's good. The only problem is that there are no CDs. Everything is just digital download from Bandcamp. So I do really want a CD if possible. I hope these guys can release something though, because what I've heard is they're very interesting. So anyway, I looked around for other bands in Saskatchewan. I checked the Regina area. Regina is known for Kick-Axe. We talked about them in the 1980s. Also a kind of hard rock band called Street Heart. Anyway, Regina had some bands. One of them, forget the name now, something like In Darkness, I think it is. CD available, doesn't ship to Japan. All right. And then I think I finally settled on another band, Dark Thunder. And I've ordered their album through Bandcamp, and I actually have it. Of course, when you order a CD from Bandcamp, you immediately get the streaming and you get an email giving you the link to the download. So I have that. Okay. But one thing I wanted to say was, yeah, I actually have started to go ahead with making some purchases. I really wanted to stretch this out and take my time and be very careful and choosy. But the majority of the bands that I've checked out so far have actually really impressed me. And there have not been so many where I thought, I don't need to have that in my collection. It's all been, I'd really love to have that in my collection, or I want it in my collection, but I can't buy everything right now. I'll have to save it for later. So anyway, aside from, I think it was 3 or 4 purchases that I now made on Bandcamp, so I actually have those albums in my Bandcamp app. I did actually order 3 directly through Amazon Japan, paid for them on Monday, received them today. This is a band called Gomorrah, tech death band out of Kelowna, British Columbia. And I want to read to you what one of the reviewers said about them on Bandcamp, because you can also find Gomorrah on Bandcamp if you want to check them out. Let's see here. Now, this is a special surprise. A brutal technical death metal album that is engaging, progressive, and nuanced, in addition to doing all of the usual crushing expected of the subgenre. Hannes Grossman's drum performance here is among his very best, which is saying a lot. And core members Bowen and Jeff are super tight and completely on point with amazing and punishing riff work and vocals that lay waste to all in their path. One of 2019's very best death metal albums. And other comments in here too also really praise this work. So I did give it a cursory listen, and I did think, okay, well, with what I heard and what people are saying about it, and the fact that they are a fairly new band, I went ahead and ordered it. Still in the plastic. Another one, Worm Witch. I think, as I recall, they were a black metal band out of the Vancouver area of British Columbia. They sounded good. It was a little difficult to try to track down their work elsewhere, but I did end up finding it on Amazon Japan and got it for a very reasonable price. So here we go, Worm Witch from Vancouver. I think it's black metal. And then there is this one here, Cobra and the Lotus. I think they are a power metal or traditional and power metal type, traditional metal, power metal type band out of Calgary with a female vocalist there. I thought it's good, but maybe not exactly what I wanted, and I checked some other albums, and I heard this one, and I thought maybe this is the album I should get, and I decided to leave it for later, and then I opened Amazon and saw that this had dropped in price. by a few hundred yen. And so I thought, now's my chance, and I ordered it, and here it is. So Cobra and the Lotus, High Priestess, loved the album cover. That's why I think I felt if I'm getting one of their albums, this is the one I should get. I don't know if they're going to be the ones that I mention exactly in the video because they have a few albums, so they might be a little bit older. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look into that. What I'm thinking to do now is I'm going to shoot for 5 is the 5 main bands, main albums to feature. But then I'm going to go for an overall of 12. So 12 bands with emphasis on 5. And the other 7 will get a fairly good promotion. And then I will also mention some of the other albums that I ordered that didn't strike me as being the very best of the best, but were still good enough that I wanted to spend my money on them. So I think it's going to be a pretty full episode when we get there. As for now, it's only just beginning. Let's see what else this great country has to offer in metal music. Put out a CD, guys! Kazoo solo. Okay, so where are we at now? Well, I've been visiting this site hellbound.ca, which I mentioned previously. They have, well, here you can see the best of Canadian metal 2009 to 2018. I think this is a site devoted to heavy metal, and I think they started in 2009. And every year, the staff choose their picks for the best 10 Canadian albums. So here they have the best one for each year, and then if you go and click Hellbound's Top 10 Canadian Metal Albums of 2009, you can scroll on down and see Augury, Devin Townsend Project, 3 Inches of Blood, Cauldron, Woods of Ypres, Sacrifice, Voivod, and so on. Now, each year has their 10 picks, but when I was going through by searching on the internet, I actually found each staff member gave their top 10 pick. There was a page for that for some of those years, and that meant that it wasn't just 10 albums. Obviously, there was easily like, well, I don't know, say there's like 7 or 8 lists with 10 on each list, but of course some bands appeared on 2, 3, or even 4 lists. Obviously bands like Voivod or Blood Ceremony, Unleash the Archers, some of those ones, The Agonist, they appeared on more than one list. But anyway, what I did was the bands that appeared 2 or 3 times, I wrote them down and checked out their music, or just sometimes bands that had an interesting name, I checked them out. So up to now, I've written down about 100 band names up to the point of checking out Hellbound here, and probably listened to about 50 or so by checking them out either on YouTube or Bandcamp. But anyway, then I found this list, the very best Canadian metal bands on Rate Your Music, by somebody named Pooh Kali. And I thought, okay, well, let me take a look at this list, because now I have read about so many bands and checked out their music, so probably I know a good lot of them. This list is 67 bands long. The 67 bands on this list, I knew 16. Of course, there's Annihilator, right? But right after that, we get into Coulter, Viathen, Into Eternity, Ravenous, Instansia, Icewind. Oh, and then Protest the Hero. Wow. So one thing I noticed was this person is given the descriptions like Into Eternity, progressive metal and melodic death metal with influences of power metal. Ravenous, power metal. Instansia, symphonic power metal with influences of progressive metal. Icewind, power metal with influences of progressive metal. And going down through the list here, it turns out that most of these bands have this in common. There's power metal, progressive metal, symphonic metal, and mellow death for most of these, I would say. So very interesting, because I realized all the other bands I had checked out up until now, we were looking at thrash and death and tech death and black metal, atmospheric black metal, doom, stoner, traditional metal, and so on, but none of the symphonic and power metal types. So I am not like immediately a huge power metal fan, but thanks to bands like Unleash the Archers, I've come to appreciate it more and actually picked up a few of the more classic bands like Blind Guardian and Gamma Ray and so on. So I wrote down all the bands that I didn't know, all 51, and one by one I went through on YouTube. The Body Politic, a band out of Nanaimo on Vancouver Island, of all things. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Sequester, Snake Eyes, Blackguard, Seventh Rain, Mastery, and so on. And I found this one here, Otherworld. Anyway, they have only one album, and it's actually a little bit old. It's a 2005, and the guy behind the band actually passed away, but it's really good. Progressive metal. And apparently, they used to be called Sacred Blade, and that was one of the first progressive metal bands to emerge out of Vancouver, right? So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I just went through and I found a lot of these on Bandcamp, and I ordered some albums from there as well. So there's just a huge bunch of stuff. If you want to go to this here we go, the very best Canadian metal bands on Rate Your Music. There's a whole bunch of stuff to check out. And as I showed you before, some orders came in. A few more have come in now. I have Black Wizard, Live in Oblivion. I don't remember if they're from Vancouver or New Westminster, but anyway, around the Vancouver area. La Chinga. Oh, yeah, you got to see the video. I saw this video for this song, Kill a Wizard, and I just loved the video. I loved the song, so immediately ordered the album. It was through Amazon, so I got it 2 days later. La Chinga, Beyond the Sky, 3-piece band out of Vancouver. A lot of Vancouver or BC artists have been coming in already, but I have ordered from the Prairie Provinces, Ontario, Quebec, and even a couple from the Maritimes. Cauldron, basically an 80s metal band, but modern one, right? And this is their latest, New Gods, which I think is 2018. Yeah, and then Bison BC. Turns out this was their debut album, I think it was, from 2008. But anyway, they have a few albums out. So, yeah, just lots of great stuff out there. And I'm just going to keep plugging away and seeing what comes in. And eventually I'm going to have to narrow it down to my pick for, I guess, the 12 best that I can introduce in episode 36. Gotta check this one out here. La Chinga, Kill a Wizard. Really cool. Anyway, back with more updates as more stuff starts coming in through the mail in the next week or so.